The golden sun of Beverly Hills filtered through the expansive windows of the Clampett mansion, but inside the kitchen, the atmosphere was thick with the scent of turnip greens and a very peculiar kind of misunderstanding. Daisy Moses, known to everyone as Granny, moved with a brisk and determined energy that belied her small stature. She looked down at the sleek, wet creature resting near the kitchen table and let out a long sigh of maternal pity. "Come on in, Shorty," she said with a voice full of grounded sympathy. "I am going to call that doctor that turns water critters back into people. I fetched your robe for you because I know how chilly it can get when a man has been out of his element for so long." Granny shook her head as she draped a miniature bathrobe over the seal, which looked back at her with large, blinking eyes. "It will get worse before it gets better," she muttered to the creature she was certain was an old friend from back home. "Of course, you have got nobody to blame but yourself for this predicament. I warned you time and again not to let that frogman get you in the water. You are just lucky he did not turn you into a frog like he done the others. You have stayed a mammal, at least, even if you were a bit more slippery than I remember." She marched over to the telephone, her fingers trembling slightly with righteous indignation. She had to find a cure for poor Shorty Kellums. "Hello? Can I speak to Dr. Klingler, please?" she asked when the line connected. There was a pause as she listened to the voice on the other end. "Oh, mercy. He is out of town? Well, thanks anyway. Goodbye." She hung up the receiver and looked back at the seal with a face full of worry. "Well, you are in for trouble now, Shorty Kellums. The doctor is out of town, and there is not a soul in this fancy neighborhood who knows how to reverse a transformation like yours." Despite the dire situation, Granny was not one to let a guest go hungry, even a guest who now possessed flippers. "Well, you set up here at the table, and I will fetch you some hot victuals. It smells like corn, pork, hog jowls, and turnip greens. It is the kind of food that builds a man back up from the inside out." As she began to plate the steaming food, Jethro Bodine wandered into the kitchen, his nose twitching at the familiar aroma of home cooking. "How soon is victuals, Granny?" he asked, his stomach letting out a low growl. Granny did not even look up from her work. "Nobody gets fed until I take care of that poor little fellow over yonder," she declared, pointing a wooden spoon toward the seal. Jethro stared at the creature sitting on the chair. "What is she doing up at the table?" he asked, confused. "Waiting for hot victuals, obviously," Granny snapped. "Mark feeds him raw fish," Jethro pointed out, thinking of Ellie Mae's boyfriend, the marine biologist. "You can tell that from 5 feet away by the smell." Granny's eyes flashed with anger. "But from now on, he gets treated decent." "You do not feed our kind of victuals to an animal like that," Jethro argued. Granny stopped her movements and pointed the spoon directly at her nephew. "Do not call him an animal. That is what Mark calls him. It is Mark that should be called an animal for what he did. His name is Shorty." Jethro scratched his head, looking from the seal to his grandmother. "Right fitting name, I suppose," he admitted, noting the creature's stature. "Well, let us get the bathrobe off him so he can eat in comfort," Jethro suggested, reaching toward the seal. Granny slapped his hand away. "No, you do not. He is not sitting in my kitchen jabbered naked. He is not supposed to wear clothes," Jethro protested. "He is a water critter, thanks to your friend, the frogman." Granny shook her head in disbelief. "Well, Mark says when we go to farm in the ocean, critters like him will be dandy little workhorses." Granny slammed a pot onto the stove. "Mark Templeton is an inhuman monster," she proclaimed. "Who is his next victim going to be? Me? What is he going to do? Turn me into a turtle just because I move a little slow in the mornings?" Jethro tried to calm her down. "You are not making sense, Granny. I am going to take this little fellow back down to Seaman Town where he belongs. You keep your hands off of him and get out of my kitchen," Granny commanded. "But Mark says he belongs in the water." Jethro tried one last time. Granny's expression hardened. "You send Mark in here to see me. I have a few words to say to him about his experiments." "Now, Granny, do not fly off the handle," Jethro pleaded. "You send him in here," she repeated. "I am in no mood to be cross today." Jethro knew when he was beaten. Okay, he said, backing out of the room. Granny turned back to the seal, her voice softening. "Oh, Shorty, Why did you not listen to me and stay out of the water? Now look at you, you poor little goomer. You cannot go back to Silver Dollar City and run a hotel looking like that. The guests would be terrified, and the housekeeping would be a nightmare with all that splashing. Outside by the pool, Jed Clampett was watching the scene with a mix of amusement and mild concern. He saw Jethro and Mark Templeton walking toward the house. What is she doing with the seal in the kitchen? Mark asked, looking puzzled. I do not know, Jethro replied, but she wants you in there, too. Mark sighed, adjusting his diving gear. Uh-oh. Looks like I am going to catch the dickens. Jed nodded slowly. I am afraid so. You want me to go in with you? Mark shook his head bravely. No. The seal was my idea. I will face the music. We are not likely to get victuals until I do. Jed smiled and leaned in to give the young man some advice. Oh, let me give you a little tip. She has named the seal Shorty. Mark blinked in surprise. Thanks. I will remember that. He took a deep breath and stepped into the kitchen. Come in, Granny shouted from inside. Hello, Granny, Mark said, trying to sound cheerful. Hi, Shorty. Something sure smells good in here. Granny pointed at the seal. Well, it is not him, I can tell you that. Mark looked at the seal sitting in the kitchen chair. Shorty, you should not be in the house. I will put you back in the pond. Granny stood between them like a guardian. No. He is sitting right here and going to eat hot fish. Nothing but raw fish for him, Mark insisted. Granny's temper flared again. Now let me tell you this. He is not going back to the cement pond and he is not eating no more raw fish. He is a human being under all that blubber and he deserves a cooked meal. Mark tried to be logical. Well, Granny, if you feel that way, I will just take him down and drop him in the ocean where he can find his own food. That does it, Granny shouted. Now hear this, sailor boy. I am going for my shotgun. And when I come back, Shorty Kellums better be sitting in this chair. And I mean Shorty Kellums himself, and not this poor-looking pitiful critter. She stomped out of the room toward her bedroom. Mark looked at the seal, and then at the door. Well, I will do my best, he whispered. A few minutes later, the real Shorty Kellums, a diminutive and lively man from their hometown, wandered into the mansion. He was looking for a meal and a friendly face. He found Jethro near the kitchen. I would not go in there yet, Shorty, Jethro warned. Are victuals not ready? Shorty asked. They might be, but Granny is not. Suddenly, Granny's voice echoed through the hallway. Shorty, come here, quick. Jethro grabbed the man's arm. Sit down at the table and hurry. I do not want to eat like this, Shorty complained, looking at his dusty clothes. Shorty, please, you have got to be sitting at that table before Granny gets back with that shotgun, Jethro urged. I have not washed up yet, Shorty protested. Just sit here. I will be fine. I wish I knew what this was all about. Granny burst back into the kitchen, but the shotgun was nowhere to be seen. She saw Shorty Kellum sitting in the chair where the seal had been. Shorty. Oh, Shorty, darling, I am so happy to see you back to your old self. She rushed forward and pulled him into a bone-crushing hug. Don't squeeze me too hard, Granny, Shorty wheezed. I am awful hollow. I have not had a bite to eat since morning. Granny beamed with pride, convinced her sheer will had broken the spell. Shorty, I am going to give you the greatest meal you ever had in your whole life. Hallelujah! Shorty shouted. It will make you forget what that frogman done to you, Granny promised. You mean Mark? Shorty asked. Mark the monster, Granny clarified. He is not no monster. He is a nice fellow. Granny frowned. Shorty, have you forgot the terrible thing that he done to you? Turning you into a creature of the deep? Shorty looked confused. He did not do nothing terrible. In fact, he is an officer and a gentleman and I like him. Granny sighed, shaking her head. You do, huh? Yes, ma am. Now, how about that meal you promised me? Okay, Granny said, serving him a plate. Here you are. Shorty looked at the pile of greens and salt pork. I do not think I would call this the best meal I ever had, but it will do. Meanwhile, at the bank, the atmosphere was far more corporate, but no less chaotic. Jane Hathaway was standing in the office of Milburn Drysdale, the president of the bank. Well, I am glad to hear you are out of that straitjacket, Miss Jane, Jed Clampett said as he entered the room. Now, when I come down to take out my money, it will not upset you all over again, will it? Jane Hathaway straightened her suit jacket with dignity. Of course it will not upset me. I am perfectly fine. That straitjacket was Mr. Drysdale's invention to keep me from performing my duties. Jed nodded understandingly. Oh, he is a clever fellow. That would fit you real good. Jane narrowed her eyes. Oh, he is clever, all right. He is my #1 nemesis. Well, I am glad to hear he is your friend, Jed said, missing the sarcasm entirely. I will see you down at the bank. Are you going to the bank yet, Jed? Shorty asked, appearing behind him. That is right, Shorty. I am going to take out some money. Shorty nodded. I will drive you. I am going to take out something myself. Back at the bank, Miss Hathaway was coordinating with another staff member. Excuse me, Miss Hathaway. Here is the certified check you ordered for $48 million, charged against Mr. Clampett's account, Miss Gordon said, handing over a piece of paper. Thank you, Miss Gordon. This is a moment of great triumph for me. A similar check was issued earlier, but to keep Mr. Clampett from using it, that unprincipled scoundrel Drysdale had 2 guards force me into a straitjacket and gag me. And then he told Mr. Clampett that the idea of his withdrawing all that money had driven me mad. Miss Gordon gasped. What a terrible man. Jane smiled a cold, calculating smile. I shall take great delight in watching him scream and yell and climb the walls in fury and frustration when he sees this money leaving the bank. Can I watch too? Miss Gordon asked excitedly. Oh, be my guest, Jane replied. In the inner office, Milburn Drysdale was preparing for the confrontation. Chief, it gives me great pleasure to announce that Mr. Jed Clampett is on his way to this temple of greed to withdraw $48 million, Jane announced as she walked in. Really? Drysdale asked, his voice shaking. Yes. And I want you to know that this is a great moment for me. Drysdale suddenly changed his demeanor. For me too, Miss Hathaway. I tried to tell you that honesty is the best policy. Jane was stunned. What did you say? Drysdale looked out the window with a distant gaze. As I was driving to the bank this morning, I almost had a collision with a huge truck. Suddenly, my whole life flashed before me. I saw in terrifying detail all the mean and petty things I have done. The schemes I had to get money, the lies I have told, the people I have wronged. Chief? Jane whispered, unsure if he was serious. Drysdale continued his dramatic performance. I lived again those many times when you counseled the course of truth and justice, but I chose greed and avarice. You pointed to the high road, but I took the low road. I said to myself, Milburn, put your house in order. You never know when you will be summoned to stand before that great bank examiner in the sky. And so I say to you, Miss Hathaway, and bear witness, Miss Gordon, I am deeply sorry for my transgressions against you and deeply grateful for your never-failing loyalty and friendship. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a bill. I think you deserve a reward. My reward is seeing this glorious transformation take place in you, Jane said, moved by his words. But I insist you accept this token of my gratitude. $100? Jane asked, looking at the bill. It is little enough. Just take the rest of the day off and go out shopping. Drysdale then turned to Miss Gordon. Do you like working here, Miss Gordon? Oh, I certainly do, she replied. Would you like to continue working here? Oh, indeed, I would. Fine, fine. Now, I have 2 jobs for you. You will find a nurse's uniform in that dressing room there. Put it on. A nurse's uniform? She asked. Yes, when Mr. Clampett arrives, you are going to be my keeper. I don't understand. Oh, you will. The second job is a stop payment on Miss Hathaway's check. Jane Hathaway's face fell. Mr. Drysdale, I am terribly disillusioned. Drysdale shrugged. I will make a note of it. Well, you said your whole life flashed before you, Jane reminded him. It did, Drysdale admitted with a grin. I loved it. Now, get in there. When Jed Clampett finally arrived at the bank, he found Drysdale wearing a makeshift crown and looking quite erratic. Is that you, Mr. Drysdale? Jed asked. I am the Emperor of France, Drysdale shouted. Josephine, who is this man? Jane Hathaway sighed heavily. Well, you know me, Jed said calmly. I am Jed Clampett. Are you from Wellington? Drysdale asked. No, sir. I am from Bug Tussle. Drysdale waved a hand dismissively. You are not a member of my staff. They are all here. Well, no, Mr. Drysdale, Jed tried again. I am Napoleon Bonaparte, Drysdale declared. Well, okay, Mr. Bonaparte. I just come down here to draw up my money. No, Drysdale cried out. Just when my poor armies are retreating across the frozen steppes of Russia. Jed looked concerned. Well, but my brave men are freezing, Drysdale continued, clutching Jed's sleeve. They are starving. They need food. They need clothing. Oh, please, do not withdraw your support now, or they will perish in the snow. Jed, being a kind-hearted man, could not bear the thought of starving soldiers, even imaginary ones. I do not want to starve or freeze nobody. Oh, thank you. All of France, Drysdale exclaimed. Thank you. This is the highest decoration my country can bestow. He pinned a paper clip to Jed's lapel. I think I had better be going, Jed said, feeling very out of place. Wait. I have another medal for you. Jed backed away. Oh, you keep it, Mr. Drysdale. It looks real good on you. Back at the mansion, things were reaching a boiling point. Granny was packing her bags. Hey, Granny, watch out. Jethro shouted as a suitcase flew past him. You're going to hit somebody. It will not be nobody in this family, Granny snapped. They have not got nothing to hit. Put all my stuff in the truck. You're driving me to the airport. Where are you going, Granny? Jed asked as he returned from the bank. I am going back home to the hills where man is man and fish is fish, and they stays that way. Please do not go back to the hills, Granny, Jethro begged. I got to, Jethro. I cannot stay around and watch Ellie Mae being married to that frogman, and there does not seem no way that I can stop it. I am begging you, Granny. Please do not go, Jethro said with tears in his eyes. Oh, bless you, boy, Granny said, momentarily touched. I did not think nobody would care. I care, Jethro exclaimed. If you go, I will die. No, you won't, Granny said. Oh, yes, I will. I will have to eat Ellie's cooking. Granny paused. You are all heart, boy. Put my stuff out. Wait a minute. Ellie's cooking. You have just given me the greatest idea. Jethro beamed. I am always coming up with great ideas. What was this one? Never mind, Granny said, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Where is Ellie? She is out in the kitchen with Mark. They are doing the dishes. Granny marched into the kitchen where Ellie Mae and Mark Templeton were tidying up. Mark, do not you look handsome? Granny said with a sugary sweet voice. Yeah, Mark replied, surprised by the change in tone. And here is pretty little Ellie Mae in her apron. I declare you two are the picture of domestic bliss. We thought the least we could do is wash the dishes, Ellie said. Yes, Ma, after that wonderful meal you cooked, Mark added. Granny smiled. Look who is calling who a wonderful cook. As if you have never tasted any of her victuals. I never have, Mark admitted. You're joking, Granny said. Ellie Mae, am I to understand that you have never cooked a meal for this man? You always told me to stay out of the kitchen, Ellie reminded her. Until the right man come along, Granny countered. And here he is. Now, show him what you can do. How about I cook supper for you tonight, Mark? Ellie asked. Wonderful, Mark replied. What would you like? Why don't you make him one of your out-of-this-world meatloaves? Granny suggested. That is her father's favorite. Well, father says you cannot beat it, Ellie said proudly. That is what she says, all right, Granny agreed. Well, what else are you to make? Why don't you make him some of them great big donuts? I love donuts, Mark said enthusiastically. Oh, hers are not to be believed, Granny promised. Sounds like I will be in heaven tonight, Mark said. Oh, we won't let you eat that many, Granny laughed. Outside, Shorty Kellums was walking with Miss Gordon, who was still wearing her nurse's uniform. Shorty, what you doing with Mr. Drysdale's nurse? Jed asked. When I went looking for you, I found her and fetched her home for a swim, Shorty explained. Actually, Mr. Clampett, I came to give you this, Miss Gordon said, handing over the check. My check for $48 million, Jed noted. Mr. Drysdale must be all right, good as ever. Well, He is as good as ever, but I would not call that all right, Miss Gordon said. Jed turned to Ellie. Reckon Ellie has got a swimming suit that would fit this little doll? I reckon so, Ellie said. Come on in. You will stay for a swim, won't you, Liz? Miss Gordon sighed. Well, I might as well, Shorty. I am going to get fired anyway. How come? Jed asked. Well, Mr. Drysdale does not know about that check. In his office, Drysdale was still acting out his fantasy. All right, Miss Gordon, you can change out of your nurse's uniform. Miss Gordon? He looked around and found a note. Dear Napoleon, welcome to Waterloo. The check and I are at Mr. Clampet's. Josephine. Oh, kill her. Drysdale screamed. Back at the pool, Shorty was splashing around. That is right, Shorty. Show off for your new girlfriend, Jed said. Granny walked out and saw the seals again. I see you have brought home another seal. Yeah, Shorty was getting lonesome, Jethro said. Granny is going to hit the roof, Jed whispered. No, she won't, Jethro said. She likes me now. Granny does? Yeah, we're great friends. Since when? Since I changed out of my uniform, Miss Gordon said, appearing in a swimsuit. And that done it? Jed asked. It sure did, Miss Gordon replied. She walked into the kitchen, saw me dressed like this, and we were instant buddies. Well, if that does not beat all, Jed said. This is really my lucky day, Mark added. Ellie is cooking supper for me. Whose idea was that? Jed asked. Granny's. Jed's face clouded with concern. Oh. Something wrong? Mark asked. Not yet, Jed said. Granny said Ellie's cooking is not to be believed. She is right about that. A short while later, Granny was trying to avoid the pool area. You ready, Liz? Shorty asked. You ready for a swim? Gorgeous? Granny turned around, thinking he was talking to her. No, I am not. I am sorry, Granny. I knocked on the wrong door. You sure did. You are not getting me in that cement pond. Granny, I thought you was my date, Shorty said. I would not date you if you was the last man on earth. Granny snapped. Listen, Granny. Now you listen. If you have not got sense enough to stay on dry land, that is your bad luck. But do not try to change me into no water critter. I would not do that, Shorty promised. Then quit trying to lure me into the pond with that sweet talk. Shorty pointed to Miss Gordon. That is who I was talking to. You undercut my date. I am ready, Shorty, Elizabeth said, walking up. She is your date? Granny asked. That child? Why, you look like her father. I do? Shorty asked. He must be a handsome rascal. Now, Elizabeth, this here is Granny. She knows your father. Really? Elizabeth asked. Don't pay any attention to him, Granny warned. And do not go in the water with him. It is dangerous. Oh, I am an excellent swimmer, Elizabeth said. Yeah, come on, Liz, Shorty urged. Honey, it is not that, Granny whispered. When he gets wet, he turns into the funniest-looking little water goomare you have ever seen. I do not care, Elizabeth said. I think he is kind of cute. Wait a minute, Granny said, desperate to save the girl. If that does not scare you, listen to this. There is a great big frogman down there. Really? Elizabeth asked. And if you get into the water with him, you know what will happen? Well, I have got a pretty good idea, Elizabeth said with a wink. I used to date one. Come on, Shorty. The whole thing sounds real groovy. Inside, Ellie Mae was presenting her masterpiece. Well, here it is, Father. My out-of-this-world meatloaf. Jed looked at the plate. Well, would you look at that? How come you did not make it round? Well, it is for Mark and he is especially fond of meatballs. But Granny said to make a meatloaf. So I made it in the shape of a meatball. Yes, sir. That is mighty clever of you, Ellie, Jed said, trying to be supportive. Oh, thank you, Father. Bet you were just dying for a taste. Yeah, but I am going to find it first, Jed said, making an excuse. Excuse me. I have got to fetch some things out of the root cellar. Fine. See you later. Jed caught Granny as she was sneaking toward the kitchen. Hold it, Granny. What did you say? I said hold it. All right, I will hold it. But what is it? It is that meatloaf you had Ellie make for Mark to eat. Only I am going to make you eat it. Oh, you would not do that, would you, Jed? I won't on one condition, Jed said firmly. You make another one that looks just like that, only good. Well, what will I do with this one? Granny asked. Get rid of it. And another thing. Tell our company that supper will be a little late tonight. You are a hard man, Jed. Granny sighed. She took the heavy meatloaf and walked toward the pool. Get rid of this for me, she told Jethro. What is it, Granny? It is a meatball. She threw it toward the water. Oh, look. It is Shorty and Elizabeth up at the cement pond. She saw the two seals basking in the sun. Yes, ma, am. They did not go in the water. Oh, yes, ma, am. They are changing now. Oh, mercy. I am too late. Granny cried out. Shorty? Elizabeth? Where are you? She saw the seals and her heart broke. Shorty, why did you have to do it again? And Elizabeth, I pleaded with you. You were so pretty. Now look at you. One of the seals barked and nudged the other. Shorty, you old rooster, Granny scolded. Cannot you get your mind off of that for 1 minute? Suddenly, Mr. Drysdale appeared at the gate, still looking a bit disheveled. Hello, Granny. I am looking for Mr. Clampett. What kind of a get-up is that? Granny asked, looking at his rumpled suit. Oh, never mind. I had to see Mr. Clampett about a check. Well, he is around here someplace. I will find him. Have you seen anything of a beautiful brunette secretary for my bank? Is her name Elizabeth? Granny asked. That is it. Where is she? Swimming with Shorty, Granny said, pointing to the seals. Come over here, Elizabeth. Your boss wants to see you. Drysdale stared at the seal. This is Elizabeth? Granny nodded solemnly. Is she not a mess? You remember Shorty Kellums. He runs a hotel back in Silver Dollar City. Drysdale just shook his head in total confusion. Oh, yeah. That is wild. He turned and walked away, decided that some things in Beverly Hills were simply beyond explanation. The sun began to set over the mansion, casting long shadows across the pool. Despite the madness, the air was filled with laughter and the promise of a dinner that, thanks to Jed, would actually be edible. It was just another day for the Clampetts, a family whose hearts remained firmly in the hills, even when their feet were planted in the rich soil of California.